anything that pops off almost 3D will grab you. If you also notice, a lot of the top ranking apps have eyes that are looking at you, or characters that are looking at you. There's certain things with colors. There's agencies out there you can pay for to give you advice on color contrasting, visual style, all those kinds of things. I'm not the best person to give advice on it. All I can say is, if you've got an icon that pops out at you and one that doesn't, the one that pops out is going to net more installs. Yeah.
I just ran into something interesting on this. A lot of companies are starting to brand their icons, so they'll use specific treatments for the border or for certain types of presentation. Some of the European-based ones trademark those, and then we'll come after you.
Yeah.
So be aware that that may be a possibility.
But on the other hand, looks like everybody's copied the icon of the top 10. Pretty much, if it's like a slots in the top 10 has a 7, so I would put 7 as well, pretty much.
Yeah, if you load up the store, you're going to notice trends of the icons themselves, and there's no reason you shouldn't follow those trends as well. And there's an obvious reason why they're at the top. They work, but
yeah, a lot of icons seem to be blue, and those reasons.
There's a really good TechCrunch article.
Yeah, blue's pretty big. Primary colors are huge. Any other questions?
Could you explain a little bit more how Apple gets the retention of the metrics for the engagement?
So pings back from when someone engages in an app, session length, and when someone opens it and engages.
So they basically send all the time, every time you enter and leave the application. Right?
I'm not sure if they're doing it App Store wide or if it's on a certain percentage. I don't know how they're tracking that data, to be honest. Some apps don't utilize web, so how are they tracking that? I don't know. But I do know it's factored into the algorithm.
If they're ad supported, they could easily do it. Sure,
Yeah.
just that.
Yeah. But only ads that they own. iAds, but they wouldn't be able to do it for ad mock or whatever. Yeah.
So you that 63, 67?
63% of all installs come from a search.
Do you know which one that was from? Where that was from? Which source?
I believe that was AppNeek provided that data.
Yeah, that's for the Google Play.
That was for Google Play. The numbers might vary slightly for iOS, although I've heard from my sources that they're pretty similar.
Got it. Cool.
Yeah.
And how long is I just downloaded Manavo, by the way.
Yeah.
I was scared. But, yeah.
I mean, it's all anonymized, so you don't have to worry about personal
I just
data.
wanted to see what it's doing. It's installing your provisioning profile, giving you installing 2 certificates on the phone to get everything that I sent and received.
It's insane the amount that they can track. It's just insane. Manavo is an extremely powerful tool when you're wanting to analyze how much money are your competitors making off of ads. If you want to look at, maybe I'm buying a particular app that's got a couple of different displays, which one's going to perform better. I mean, it's just a shit ton of data you can get from Manavo, but it's insanely expensive.
I mean, like, that would be the only way to figure out what percent of downloads come from search. Because, like, especially in iOS.
I know there are integrations to the app stores itself. A lot of that data can be found through API calls, from what I know. Ian?
Actually, I do have some data from that. Sorry.
Go for it.
All the search, the SEO guys, like Searchman, said those APIs for both app stores are so buggy and unreliable that they don't use them. Searchman itself crawls 800,000
a day.
app pages a day.
I read that. They crawl 800,000 app pages a day. It's insane. But you do have API calls to get that data from the app stores themselves. But again, it is a bit buggy.
I mean, like in my iTunes Connect dashboard, it doesn't tell me anything about where downloads are coming from.
I'm not sure where the API is. I don't think it's part of the dashboard. I'm sure you can find it if you contact Apple. But I do know there is an API that exists for people who want to have store integration, like if they're trying to display on a website, the ranking of the, like App Annie does, for example. How do they get that data? There's an API call. Yeah?
How I mean, that's different from knowing the source of a
Yeah.
download of an app.
So
ranking is one thing.
Yeah.
To
Knowing-
determine like where it's ranked and stuff, but to know that today I got 50,000 downloads and 30,000 of those came from search, that's, like, I dug into this, that's impossible.
I don't think it's impossible to know which ones came from search. What it is impossible to know is how they got to the search, or where they got the data to search.
I should clarify, I'm talking about iOS, not Android.
I'm not sure if that data is reported in the
Correct. It's impossible.
That data might be reported in the API. I don't know.
Yeah. That's
Since
also-
you haven't seen that API.
Yeah, definitely check
I
it
don't
out. Thanks for the pointing it out.
Yeah. But I mean, these services exist, and they're watching both iOS and Android.
Cool.
So how do they get that data? There's an API somewhere that's sending them to. And there's a number of other tools too. These are what I found to be the most valuable. There's probably 20 different tools out there for ASO optimization.
How do I track the effectiveness of my channels and especially at the per user level?
Yeah, there's a couple of companies that do that right now, and so there was a big AppSolar. That's the one I was thinking of. Yes, thank you. AppSolar can track by source where the install is coming from.
Do I have to integrate with them?
Yes. Yes.
Shouldn't we just search for ASO, which everyone's at the top, obviously?
Yes.
Whoever has the best ranking for ASO, use them. It might be the most expensive though. Maybe you could do it yourself. Yeah.
One question, because most of the things that we have heard before are telling us that, well, we need to spend a lot of money to boost our apps up, and then actually boost them more and spend more money to stay over there. And the question is whether is it anyhow possible to do something different?
Well, so what you mentioned was going back to spinning on a single channel. And you're gonna have to spend more money each time you go back to that channel.
No, I mean, but you can.
But that's what you're hearing from the channels when they're telling you, oh, to get to the top story, you need to do this. That's because they're only wanting you to buy from them. But if you spread out your buy, you're exhausting less of that volume of traffic each time that you hit it.
I have an answer to the question. I do a lot of advertising, mostly cross-promotion. And so I've been at the top of the App Store in lots of different countries several times without spending much money at all. But I work very hard to arrange cross-promotions with other game makers. So it's essentially advertising for barter. It still costs money, because when I cross-promote for somebody else, I'm not earning money from paid advertising. Mm-hmm. But it's really good for cash flow. It suits the cash flow of small companies like mine.
Yeah,
So,
cross-promotion can be amazingly powerful. There's a bunch of cross-promo networks popping up too. Some of them have a 1-for-1 exchange. Some of them have a 1-for-0.9 exchange. And that's how they monetize.
I have a friend who works at Chartboost, and you guys, I don't know who asked the question, but if you need a direction, they systemize that for you to barter as well.
So Chartboost has a couple of downsides. Overall, it's probably the most widely used cross-promo network out there, so it's great in many cases. But for example, if you give a user, you have to get a user back within 24 hours. So you can't stockpile them up and then you do a burst campaign with Chartboost.
You might be confusing us on something else. I do most of my cross promotions through Chartboost.
And also, it's not a full 1-for-1 exchange.
Well,
you're losing out on that's where they make their money.
Well, most of the cross promotions I do through Chartboost, I do through what they call direct deals.
Yeah, direct deals are different.
And it's an arrangement between me and whoever I'm advertising with.
Yeah, so a direct deal is different, but if you're just using Chartboost in general, you can't stockpile for users. You have to do that exchange with them 24 hours.
Chartboost on the marketplace is just for cash. It's just a paid advertising.
Unless if you're using it for an exchange.
That's
you can use it for cash or exchange. What's that?
That's what direct deals are.
Direct deals are when you're exchanging with a specific person, but I believe you
right.
can go on the open market and exchange
for money. That's just
for money
paid
or
advertising
for installs.
So you can do it for installs too.
Yeah.
You can.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So if you're doing it for installs, you have a 24-hour window to use it. So
that's something new. The 24-hour window is something new. It's because people used to game the system and just get 10,000 downloads and say have one month to get it paid back, but they never have enough traffic to deliver the 1,000
Yeah.
back, and the system is breaking.
So Taptica, for example, they allow you to stockpile as long as you want, and you can also add to that ad display. So you can do a really giant burst if you want to. And it's a true one-for-one exchange, whereas Chartboost, it's not quite a one-for-one exchange. I think it's pretty close, but not a true one-for-one. Any other questions? All right, I'm going to wrap up now, but feel free to mingle and stay around and chat later. Thanks.